All right, Jack. I'm gonna ask a question. I'll try not to do this in a way that leads you toward what I hope will be your answer.
I'm sure not.
You know, you and I both chose to go to an institution called Eastern Kentucky State College. You saw it that first day when you were, you know, getting ready to be here as a freshman. I grew up in this community,
right.
and was familiar with it at least visually. Since that time, you and I have had an opportunity, both of us, to be in contact with graduates from some of what I refer to as the great brand name institutions of this country. Have you ever felt like you had the short end of the stick in terms of educational preparation?
Quite frankly, and I mean this in all sincerity, I never felt that way. And I've met some accomplished people in my time, in my travels, and I've never felt suspect at all in terms of what I got here. I never felt that way. I felt that, if anything, I had the leg up in terms of nurturing.
That's right.
That I got here at Eastern. That enhanced the other stuff.
Mm-hmm. Of course, that's the way. I wouldn't have asked that question if I hadn't thought that would be the answer, because that's the way I feel. And that's the answer I get from hundreds, if not thousands, of Eastern graduates
Exactly.
that I've had an opportunity to talk to in the last.
It's a good question.
Last year and a half. And Jack, I've come here in recent months to talk about something that I refer to as the essential Eastern, and that's our core values. That's those things that we hold to be important. And this institution is a lot different than it was when you and I were freshmen, from a programmatic sense and from a scope sense. But I like to think, and one of the things I'm really committed to is preserving that essential Eastern. One of the things that I'm excited about on that right now is that before I came back to work, the faculty and the staff here chose that Eastern's quality enhancement plan, or quality enhancement program it is now, that's required by our accrediting body, would be focused on the development of critical and creative thinking skills among our students. And one of the reasons I'm excited about that is because, when I think back to the undergraduate experience that you and I had here, especially as history majors, I think that's exactly the education we got, was how to think critically and how to think creatively. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, you will probably suspect. I will say yes, and I say it for this reason. History, as it was taught to us back in those days, we more or less embodied or internalized, I should say, what was being taught to us. I retained, like I told you earlier at lunch, I kept the blue book from Dr. Fortehay's tests I had. That's been 40 some odd years ago.
You got a B+, he told me.
Regarding the World War II, my point I'm making here is that it was made real to me.
It wasn't just academic.
It wasn't just academic. It's true. It was made real to me, and what that did was made me more viable in terms of talking about history. My love for history grew here and has grown since. I yearned to know more about that, and I got that grounding here at Eastern.
Well, history, and I think this is still true even in our history department today. I'm proud to say that the history department at EKU has continued to be a very strong department. But you mentioned Kearney Adams, and Kearney Adams's passion in history was the history of ideas, and those ideological foundations courses. What were then, they've got different numbers now. They may be 500 level courses, but history 498 and 499, exactly. Ideological foundations.
Yes.
Courses. History wasn't taught here as a bunch of disconnected chronological thought events.
Dates and facts.
Ideas
Right.
and movements and things like that were what tied it all together. And it's tough to deal with that without developing the ability to think critically
Exactly.
about what people are doing and what was done.
Exactly.
It was
He
Clyde
made
Lewis one of the people behind that?
Clyde was there, and I don't know what Jackson's initial experience was with Clyde Lewis.
Clyde
but,
Lewis.
Clyde Lewis was the token history as a social science member of the faculty. All the rest of them were more had the view that history was a humanity. But I took Clyde for for English history, and I never will forget that first exam I got back from him. I think it was History 348, and I had like a 52. And I thought, well, I'm gonna have to drop this class. And then Clyde puts all, of course, he graded on the curve, and he puts all the scores on the board, and my 52 was one of the better ones, so I relaxed a little bit then. But you'll remember George Robinson too. And
Yes,
George was my advisor, and George and Clyde were office mates. And I'm sitting there going over something with George Robinson one time, and Clyde Lewis is grading papers on the other side of this divider that separated their desks, and complaining about the quality of the student work. And George listened to that for a while and looked up and says, "That's right, Clyde, there hasn't been a good history student here since 1934, which is the year that Clyde got his undergraduate degree in history here."
1934. Now, they would elicit thought from you. Bill Byrd, same way, would talk about it on the bus, on the trips, track trips that he would take with Ted and Tom, his sons, about, we were never away from the classroom. Dr. Sprague had me in his house, independent study. What was that? 1963, independent study. The interest was there, the desire to make me think, which nurtured me, which made me feel like a good student, and then that enhanced my self-worth and enhanced my self-esteem value. And I've never felt inferior to anybody when it came to history. I've always felt I could hold my own pretty much in any discussion that I knew about that was coming, that I could make sense of it. Yeah. I never felt lost.
Of course, Bill Byrd would start out that class in that first American Social and Intellectual History class by saying, "What if what people think happened is more important than what actually happened?" And then it went from there.
That's right. And also he's a big advocate of timing as well. We debate what made the person, whether the time or the person himself, with the opportunity. We always talked about luck. It's when preparedness meets opportunity, and that makes you think, now, is this guy great because he's all of that, or is it because the situation was such that he responded and reacted to it, which made him great or her great? Just almost abstract thinking sometimes, to the point where you thought about what you said. Columbus discovering America. Well, it appeared that to be the case. Never it was. And you thought about that. And I never forgot those kind of things come out of school.